Welcome, everybody. It's Peter the Toit, SoccerBeat, and I've got the esteemed coach, Farouk Khan, here today. Farouk, how are you, my buddy?
Very well, Peter.
All good.
How are you doing?
Always good. When I'm talking to you and talking to the SoccerBeat fans out there, how can I not be good?
Absolutely.
Very, very filled with gratitude to be able to do this. Farouk, what I want to chat to you today about is Percy Tau and Rulani Mokwena. We'll leave the Percy Tau to the second bit, but the first bit I want to talk to you about Rulani. Rulani obviously linked strongly now to Pirates and Pyramids. I want to ask you, as an experienced coach, as an old hand at the game, as a wise head, what advice would you be giving Rulani right now, what to do and what you'd expect from Rulani, in particular if he was at Pirates? And then once you've finished, guys out there, I will also let you know from what I have heard what's actually happening possibly behind the scenes right now with Rulani, Pirates, and Pyramids, because that's very important to this whole scenario. And also, guys, don't forget to subscribe. About 50% of you who watch aren't subscribed. We really appreciate it if you do. And those of you who are subscribed and still going to subscribe, remember, there's a 50,000 Rand prize. Once we hit 50,000 subscribers, we're in the 40s, so we're close there. So, Farouk, straight to it. Rulani comes to you. What's your advice to him, first of all? The pros and cons of the Pirates' job and what he would achieve there and versus Pyramids.
Well, firstly, Rulani is an experienced coach. He's been there, done that, worked with the biggest club, I suppose, in South Africa and amongst the best in Africa, which is Mamelodi Sundowns. Had a stint at the London Pirates, the Chipa as well. So he's cut his teeth. However, I would advise him to stay true to himself. What has made Rulani the brand he is, he didn't play football at a high level. He worked his way up through platinum stars with the likes of Kevin Johnson, Steve Compella, etc. He waited for the right moment, worked at the youth in Sundowns. So he went through the process like many top coaches do. He's also a fan of Pep Guardiola, who went through a similar journey. But in saying that, what makes Rulani different is that he's very, very steadfast in his philosophy, in his style of play, and he won't change that for anything. So I think he needs to continue doing that so that he remains true to himself and is authentic in his coaching style. Too often we find coaches adapting to certain situations. So he's going to have to choose carefully the club he wants to. And both of these clubs are teams that play a very expensive brand of football where they look to keep the ball and look to use possession as a means to an end. And I think that is exactly what suits Rulani Mokwena. So don't change anything, Rulani. Stay true to yourself. And, you believe in yourself. You've been to Casablanca. It was a bit of a difficult stint, having to build a team and having finished third. At that level, there is nothing like position number 2. It's win or you move on. We've seen this with Al Ahly now, having fired the coach, and we see Rivero there now. The expectations are great. The rewards are great. And winning is the only language that those clubs understand.
So let's look at the Pyramids job. Isn't Rulani on a hiding to nothing going there? He can't do better. He's got to do the same and possibly with better football. It's a major task. It's a major ask. Never mind task.
No, absolutely, and it's
why. If you go there, because the point I'm making, Farouk, if he goes there and they fire him before the end of the season, there'll be 2 big clubs in Africa, Wydad and Pyramids. Now, I know, of course, Rulani will say, and so will you say, well, if you're afraid of getting fired, don't take a job. I mean, luckily are coming back. Zamalek are looking. There's another club that's looking at him as well. Is Zamalek? Wouldn't that be a better shout? Zamalek apparently enters as well, although not as strongly as Pyramids and thing. Because Zamalek, at least he's fighting there, but it could be the same situation that he's had at Wydad, that they're not quite good enough yet. But the expectation is too high.
Well, it's the negotiations that take place between those 3 clubs, that is Orlando Pirates, Pyramids, and Zamalek as such. However, you made a pertinent point in the fact that we must not take it for granted that when you get fired from these big clubs, you send the wrong message to other prospective clubs. You don't want to create a reputation where you become a serial failure. And he wouldn't want to fail because his next stint is very important for his career moving forward. So when you take on a job at Pyramids, as you pointed out, second place, no ways. Not winning the Champions League, no ways. Now you got a bit of a situation where you find Al Ahly, who even if they don't win the Champions League this year, they definitely candidates to win it the following year and maybe the following year. We know this club has a history of continuously winning that particular tournament as well as winning the Egyptian League. We know the support that they muster. I mean, they probably one of the biggest supported clubs in Africa. They have millions of fans all over the world, not just in Egypt. So this is a big club that you're going to come up against. And therefore, if you take the job at Pyramids, there's a huge risk that you may not be able to surpass what they have done this particular season. On the side of Pirates, maybe there's potential. Maybe Pirates could be a better fit.
So let's look at Pirates. So first of all, the fans love Rivera. Rulani's been there before. They loved Rivera ball. They still got to be convinced about a Rulani ball. And Rulani's style is going to be a lot more measured, if we know the way he plays football, a lot more passing as opposed to the far more direct style that the Pirates had under Rivera. So that in itself could turn, if they don't start well, they could turn the fans against him. Secondly, he may well lose his best player, Mofokeng, before the season starts. Yeah. So you're starting at a bit of disadvantage. And Pirates' philosophy seems to be promoting young players, which is very good with as well. He was good with, he brought a lot of young players in. And he has got an ability to turn players who others can't do well with. For example, Lorch. Lorch has done always well for him, and even now doing well with Wired in the Club World Championship. So he can turn things around, but it's not going to be easy at Pirates either. He's got to start. He's replacing a very popular coach, but where it could be positive for him at Pirates is that Rivera was basically a one-trick pony. They had kind of one real way of playing. It was bang forward, non-stop. And that's quite a tiring way to play if you're in lots and lots of tournaments. Whereas Rulani will bring them a lot more a measured approach, which should get the results. And he is one of the best young football brains in this country. An up-and-coming coach. I think he'd be way wiser to take the Pirates job. But I think it also comes with huge risks of winning the fans over from a results point of view, and style of football point of view. And as you know, Pirates fans are not very patient, and he could lose his number one player. Plus, it looks, he always brings his own squad along of coaches. So I don't think it's as simple a thing as going there and fitting in like a glove because he's been there before. It may be a problem that he's been there before. Well, it's not an easy choice for Rulani.
I think on the contrary, it's going to be a huge task. And the reason being that Rivera overachieved, in my opinion. And I'll tell you why I say that, Peter. If you look at his defense, it wasn't the most solid defense per se. And when I say solid, I'm not just talking defending. I'm talking about the build-up phase. I think Rulani is a coach that wants his team to attract pressure, to bring people into his defensive third, and then to play through the press, to play into those pockets of space. So he needs to create space in behind. Is Pirates going to break the bank to reinforce that defense with players that can play out? No disrespect to Sibisi and company, but they're not really that comfortable compared to your Mamelodi Sundowns or your Ahly playing out of the back. The other thing is they also need to sign, I think, a couple more players to complement the young players that they brought in. And you just mentioned them losing their price asset, possibility of that happening. So again, for Rulani, it will be a sort of a rebuild itself. And at the same time, whilst he's rebuilding, in the back of the fans' mind, because you saw the send-off they gave Rivero, it was like a hero send-off, even though, he didn't do that well in as far as silverware was concerned, but they loved the style, they loved the consistency, they loved the way the team played, and obviously the fact that he was able to bring in quite a lot of young players into the team. So yes, that's a lot of expectation. But if you compare the expectation to Pyramids, I would say it's a safer option. He's got family history. His grandfather played for the team. His uncle played for the team. There's some sort of a sentiment where Rulani is concerned, I suppose, with the chairman as well, as far as history is concerned. But can he make the most important stakeholders happy, which is the fans? Excuse me. Because the fans are the ones that will start the booing if the results are not forthcoming. There's no time. I always say, Peter, when people tell you they're rebuilding at the level of the Pirates, the Chiefs, they're dreaming. There's no
No,
rebuilding. You hit the ground running, you got to win. People will say, "We are what you're rebuilding." Lose 2 or 3 games in a row. The same people that are saying that they believe in you as a coach to rebuild, they'll turn against you. We've seen that happening. I mean, we just saw it now with Chiefs winning the Nedbank, and then they don't qualify for the top 8, and people are asking for the coach's head. So there's no sentiments at that level. So it's a really
no, of course not.
difficult choice for him to make. I think the choice you mentioned with him taking Zamalek, that's a safer option, because there again,
Yeah.
he's got time to build, because he always speaks about his philosophy, his style of play. He wants to have a project where he can build a legacy. These are the terms that he uses. There's no time at Pirates and Pyramids to do that.
Welcome aboard A Mobile, the new way to mobile. Expect a seriously easy experience. We took what's wrong with mobile and made it right. We've ditched things like crazy fees, expensive contracts, and overall nonsense. Up here, the data stays fresher for longer. No more expiring after 1 month. Plus, with eSIM, you can connect in minutes. Refer a friend and you both get 5 gigabytes of mobile data. Visit airmobile.co.za to get connected. T's and C's apply.
There'd definitely be a change. There'd definitely be a change of playing style, I would imagine, under Rulani. Now, let me give you a kind of backstory here, and what I'm hearing from different sources. And these are obviously not confirmed, but this is a rumbling. Just think about this. He hasn't signed a new contract as yet. And I've heard that the talks to Rulani is a possibility there that they're using this to get Jersey to make a final decision, because they want him to stay. But he wants more money, a lot more money, and a lot more money to buy new players, because he feels the team's a little bit old. So he's wanting more money for himself and a lot more money for players. And that's sort of kind of the hold up for whether he stays or not. Because number one, surely they would have said straight away, if they didn't want him, fine, we're not giving you what you want, goodbye, we'll get another coach. This is an ongoing situation. They're not going to let it last for much longer. And I'm told that they are made very, generally speaking, clubs don't make public who they're talking to.
Absolutely, yeah.
Suddenly they made it public that they're coming to South Africa to talk to Rulani. And I just hope that Rulani is not being used, because sources I know in Egypt have told me, journalists in Egypt have told me, listen, this is a smoke screen. They're trying to get Jersey to sign and other guys that they're interested, and they've made this one public. And why they're not made public, who else they've spoken to. So I'm not saying that's the case. I'm saying that's what I've been told from journalists in the know from Egypt. And I hope Rulani is aware of that.
Absolutely.
And there's no wasting his time.
Absolutely.
But then let's look at the Pirates situation as well, Farouk. Pirates have not only been speaking to Rulani. So when this word's gone out that they're speaking to Rulani, people are jumping to conclusions here that something will definitely happen. Pirates have been speaking to agents and probably coaches since they knew Rivera is going to go. The names have been bandied about. And so they too could be, this could be overstated in the media as well about Rulani's going to Pirates, because don't be surprised if Rulani is one of a number of coaches that they're talking to, and they will make a decision shortly. He's clearly on the short list, otherwise they wouldn't be talking to him right now. But I wouldn't say it is cut and dried that Rulani will be at Orlando Pirates, but the next couple of days will be very clear, and I'll do my best to get very close to what's happening. Let's jump to Percy Tau. So this is viewers out there, this is a strange one. I know from a Bafana point of view, a lot of fans have been disappointed in Tau's performances for Bafana. He hasn't been at his best for Bafana. But if you look at the pedigree of Percy Tau, and he's available, forget the amount of money he will cost, because a Rolls Royce costs much more than a second-hand Polo. A 5-bedroom house with a big swimming pool costs you much more than a 1-bedroom house. So you get what you pay for. If you look at Tau's pedigree, he's won honours at Sundowns. He was clearly the best player in South Africa at that particular time. He's played in the English Premier League, not very successfully, but he's been at two gigantic clubs in Europe, Bruges and Anderlecht, and delivered there. He's delivered at Al-Ahly, at a huge club, the biggest club in Africa. He's delivered there, and he spent a season now in Qatar because people couldn't match his price. He's available. He knows the league. He's not a drinker. He's a top pro. He would be a great influence on young players at Pirates and Chiefs in particular, as well as on the Sundowns squad. I think it's a no-brainer that any one of those big three should sign him, because you don't need 30 games a season from him. If you look at I'm going to ask you for your opinion. At Pirates, he could play as an out-and-out 9 because he scores goals. He's a better finisher than they've got there right now in Maboza and Evidence. No disrespect to them. He can replace Tito if Tito's injured or not or form. He can play wide right as cutting in as a left-footed winger. He can play wide left as a winger as well. So he can play right across the front four attacking positions. Plus, he brings a kind of another level of experience to Sundowns. To Pirates, what they don't have right now. He's won league honours, so he knows how to get things over the line. I think he would be a coach on the field for this particular young Pirates side. That's the first one which I want to come back to. Sundowns, the club knows him. They didn't have enough to get them over the line in the Champions League. They lacked a bit of this, I felt, in the Champions League because Rulani wasn't there. You got a guy who can play in the Saleh's position. He's better than Saleh's playing in the Saleh's position in the half spaces. He could play wide right, which would free up Ribeiro as well. Or they can rest Ribeiro by playing him wide right. He can play wide left in place of Matthews because that left-hand side hasn't done really well. As Zwane's coming to the end of his career, you could alternate Zwane and Tau and you wouldn't be losing anything. He's obviously not the player he was 4 or 5 years ago, but he brings a winning mentality there. Chiefs have said they're not interested in Dolly because in Tau because they've bad experience with Dolly and Billiard, which are costly. You can't compare the two. Dolly spent a couple of seasons in France. Billiard's spent no seasons in France. Billiard, bit of a party animal. Dolly, injury prone. I've just given the history of Tau. Tau could come there, play wide right, which we did a show on recently with Grant and Seppo. Can play wide right. He can play wide left. He could play as a 10. He can play as a striker. He would be brilliant for the young players. He'd bring a better level of professionalism than they got in the club. He's there to compete with Serena as well. I find it absolutely crazy that a top player with such a pedigree and a good attitude is not brought back here. Now, I sound like his agent.
Yeah.
But I'm not.
You sold me on him.
I'm making you... And you are the technical director of Chiefs, Pirates, and Sundowns right now. What do you say to your coach about this player? Or am I dreaming?
Well,
the
first thing I say to the coach is there's 5 performance factors in football that you look at when you select a player, okay? That's besides his performance that you've just mentioned so adequately. The first thing is obviously his physicality. Is he physically fit to play at this level? And is he physically able to play for a duration that will complement the team as such? Second one is tactical awareness. And I think in both circumstances, we know Percy Tau, ticks those boxes perfectly. He's never been one that has been accused of not being a player who gives his all and gives 100% when it comes to a match. Similarly, tactically, we've seen what he's capable of at his time at Mamelodi Sundowns, then going abroad to Belgium and then eventually to the Premier League. And then we talk about the technical ability of this player. Technically, he is phenomenal. He's a player that when he was at Sundowns was the player that everything revolved around. He was your Messi at Sundowns. And then
Sure.
The important point for me, obviously from a social point, I've met Percy on many occasions, and I think he interacts so well with people. He's a person with great personality. And for me, that is the most important thing, is the personality that he brings to the club, Peter. He will really give leadership. He will really give support to younger players and share with those players the experience. And if we go through the 3 clubs that you just mentioned, I would say at Orlando Pirates, he will add a lot more depth in that midfield or in the offensive phase because he's a phenomenal offensive player. At Kaizer Chiefs, they definitely need a player of his pedigree to complement the existing attack that they have. And, you know, if you look at Mamelodi Sundowns, I think they're a little bit spoiled for choice. I think they probably have some other targets in mind. They have their targets in line a season before the season finishes. In other words, when the season starts, they're already planning for next season. So maybe in their case, I could understand that they've already made up their mind. They have the financial muscle to buy players that have what Percy is, and maybe even a little bit younger as such. So I can understand. But in the case of Orlando Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs, I think it would be a good acquisition. If you ask me, I will say to my coach, this is a player that we can utilize in all those positions you've mentioned. This is a player that has a goal in him. This is a player that has leadership. This is a player who people will pay to come and watch because Percy Tau has that appeal to the public. I mean, he's a player that everybody loves. So I think from a marketing point of view, Percy can be huge for them. And I mean, we know the fantastic work Kaizer Chiefs are doing in the marketing side of things. And that will just be a trump card for them, because if you tell me offhand now, on one hand, in any of those clubs, if they have two personalities similar to Percy Tau, I would be surprised. So I think definitely they should consider that. But I suppose, you know, when clubs sit down and plan, there's also the financial issues. Percy is definitely going to come with a big price.
Let me give you the final. Let me interrupt you there. Sorry about the financial. I think that's they either been stupid or it's nonsense. These clubs pay 15 million rand for a player, 30 million rand for a transfer fee. You got to, if you add the transfer fee and a salary in, he's on a free transfer. A 15 million rand salary and a 20 million rand, they pay 35 million for, 65 million for Sales. Pirates, they paid 10 million for Lilope. Pirates have paid X amount of million for the guy Vieira that they sent back. Yeah. So if you take, he comes free. If you compare, they're talking 15 million for a player from Tanzania. If you talk about the transfer fee and you put the transfer fee and a salary together of a player that you're not sure about, and then you just take Percy Tau's salary for that season, or a season or two, that it's not a big deal. Yeah. I think on that note, Farouk, it's a no-brainer on the money one. Let's hear from the viewers out there. What should Rulani do? Is he the right fit for Orlando Pirates, or should he go to Pyramids? And will he do better than Rivera at Pirates? Those are the three questions I want to hear from the Pirates fans, and then from Chiefs, Pirates, and Sundowns fans. Percy Tau, forget the money. Do you have better than Percy Tau in your squad? Sundowns would definitely say yes, but would he be a useful addition? You guys know him. I'll be surprised if you don't want him. Chiefs fans, I don't know how you can say no to this guy. He's better than what you got. Pirates, I think he'll bring experience to the team that you need to get that further towards Sundowns. Farouk, as usual, thanks a million.
Cheers, Peter.
We speak again soon, guys. Cheers from Peter and Farouk and SoccerBeat.